First contact goes wrong. The cargo ship New Dawn drifted silently through the void between star systems, her hull gleaming under the distant light of alien suns. Captain Alina Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching the endless expanse of space through the main viewport. Her dark eyes reflected years of experience navigating the dangerous trade routes that connected human colonies across the galaxy. The New Dawn was not a warship. She carried no weapons beyond basic defensive systems. Her cargo holds were filled with medical supplies, food synthesizers, and construction materials desperately needed by the struggling human colony on Kepler Prime. 3,000 souls depended on this delivery. And Alina had never failed to complete a mission. Marcus Chen worked quietly at the engineering station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays as he monitored the ship's systems. The young engineer had joined Elena's crew 2 years ago, and his brilliant mind had kept the New Dawn running through countless challenges. He treated every circuit and power conduit like it was part of his own body at the communications console. Sarah Kim listened to the constant chatter of interstellar traffic. Her job was to keep track of shipping lanes, weather reports, and the movements of other vessels. As the daughter of diplomats, she spoke 7 alien languages fluently and had successfully negotiated them out of trouble more than once. Dr. James Bright checked his medical supplies in the ship's small infirmary. The veteran physician had served on colony worlds for 30 years before joining Elena's crew. He understood better than most how precious these medical supplies were to the families waiting on Kepler Prime. Children would live or die based on whether this shipment arrived safely. Security Chief Alex Thompson reviewed the ship's defensive capabilities from his station near the back of the bridge. The former military officer knew the New Dawn was vulnerable out here in the empty space between systems. Pirates and hostile aliens viewed cargo ships as easy targets. His job was to keep the crew alive long enough to complete their missions. The bridge was quiet except for the gentle hum of life support systems and the occasional beep from monitoring equipment. Alina preferred the calm before they reached their destination. In a few hours, they would enter the Kepler system and dock with the orbital station. The colonists would cheer when they saw the New Dawn arrive with the supplies that meant survival. For another year, Sarah suddenly straightened at her console. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple contacts on long-range sensors. They're moving fast and heading directly for us." Alina moved to the tactical display. "How many ships, Sarah?" "At least 5, maybe 6. They're big ones, Captain. Military-class vessels, based on their sensor signatures." Marcus looked up from his engineering station. "Should I prepare the jump drive for emergency departure?" "Not yet," Alina said. "Let's see what they want first. They might just be passing through our area." The unknown ships appeared on the main screen as they closed the distance. They were massive vessels with dark hulls covered in weapon emplacements. Spikes and sharp angles gave them an aggressive appearance. That made Elena's stomach clench. She recognized the design from intelligence briefings. Krillian Empire warships. The Krillians were a militant species that had been expanding their territory for decades. They viewed most other races as inferior and had a particular contempt for humans. Their empire was built on conquest and slavery, with entire worlds forced to serve their war machine. "This is war leader Zethrak of the Krillian Third Fleet." A harsh voice crackled through the speakers. "Human vessel, you will halt your engines immediately and prepare to be boarded. Your cargo and crew now belong to the Empire." Alina stepped forward and activated the communication system. "This is Captain Alina Rodriguez of the merchant vessel New Dawn. We are a civilian cargo ship carrying humanitarian supplies to human colonies. We have done nothing to violate any territorial agreements. The response came quickly, filled with contempt. Your species has no rights in this region of space. Your cargo will serve the Empire's needs better than whatever pathetic colonies you intended to supply. You will surrender now or be destroyed. Alex moved closer to Alina. Captain, their weapons are charging. We need to make a decision quickly, Alina looked at her crew. Each face showed the same determination she felt. These supplies weren't just cargo. They were medicine for sick children, food for hungry families, and materials to build homes for people trying to survive on a harsh frontier world. War leader Zethrak. These supplies are protected under galactic commerce law. They are designated for humanitarian purposes. If you take them, you will be responsible for the deaths of innocent civilians, including children. Laughter echoed from the Krillian ship. Your laws mean nothing to us, human. We are the only law that matters in this sector. Your weakness disgusts us. Surrender immediately, or watch your crew die slowly. Sarah's fingers flew over her controls. Captain, I'm reading weapons locks from all 6 ships. They have us completely surrounded. Marcus checked his instruments. Our shields are functional, but they won't hold against that much firepower for long. We need to do something fast, Alina thought about the families on Kepler Prime. Parents watching their children grow weaker from diseases that could be easily cured with the medicine in her cargo hold. Engineers waiting for construction materials to build new homes before the harsh winter season began. Farmers needing the food synthesizers to prevent widespread starvation. She thought about her own family back on Earth, her younger brother who had joined the colonial service to help build new worlds for humanity, her elderly parents who had raised her to believe that protecting innocent people was worth any sacrifice. I won't let innocent people die because some bullies want to steal from them, Alina said firmly. Sarah, send an emergency transmission to Earth Defense Command. Include our position, the identity of our attackers, and a full record of this encounter. Already on it, Captain, Sarah replied, her fingers working rapidly over the communication. Controls. Alina activated the ship-wide intercom. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to come under attack by Krillian warships. They want to steal the medical supplies and other materials meant for Kepler Prime. I will not allow that to happen. Secure your stations and prepare for combat. War leader Zethrak Alina said into the communicator. This is my final warning. The cargo on this ship will save thousands of lives. If you take it, humanity will consider that an act of war against innocent civilians. You really don't want to start that fight. The reply came filled with rage. Pathetic humans. Your weak species thinks they can threaten the mighty Krillian Empire. We have crushed races far stronger than yours. Your threats are meaningless. Red warning lights bathed the bridge as the Krillian ships opened fire. Marcus diverted all available power to the shields, as energy beams and projectiles hammered the new dawn. The ship shook violently under the assault, and several control panels sparked with electrical discharge, shields holding at 60%. Marcus called out over the noise, but they're dropping fast under this bombardment. Sarah worked frantically at her station. Emergency transmission sent and confirmed received. Captain, Earth Defense Command knows. What's happening here? Another wave of weapons. Fire struck the new dawn. The lights flickered and smoke began, rising from damaged systems. Dr. Wright rushed to help crew members who had been injured by flying debris. An electrical shorts. Shields down to 25%, Marcus reported. We've got hull breaches on decks 3 and 5. Emergency barriers are holding. But we can't take much more of this. Alex gripped his security console as the ship bucked under another barrage. Captain, we could try to ram one of their ships. At least we'd take some of them with us. Alina shook her head. We're not giving up yet. There might still be a way to save those supplies and get them to Kepler Prime. The weapons fire suddenly stopped. In the eerie silence that followed, War Leader Zethrak's voice returned, dripping with satisfaction. Your shields are failing, human. Your hull is cracked like an egg. You cannot run and you cannot fight. Surrender now and we might allow some of you to live as slaves. Alina looked around at her crew. Marcus worked desperately to keep their damaged systems online. Sarah continued, trying to send more information to Earth. Dr. Wright treated wounded crew members with calm professionalism. Alex stood, ready to fight, even though they had no real weapons. These were good people who had dedicated their lives to helping others. They didn't deserve to die because some alien empire wanted to steal medicine from sick children. But Elena also knew their continued resistance would only get them all killed without saving anyone. "All right," she said into the communicator. "We surrender. Stop firing and we'll allow you to board our vessel. A wise decision, human. You will all be taken. As prisoners, your cargo is now property of the Krillian Empire. Perhaps we will sell you in the slave markets if you prove entertaining enough." Alina turned off the communication system and looked at her crew. "I'm sorry, everyone. I tried to save the cargo, but I won't sacrifice your lives for it," Marcus managed. A weak smile. "Captain, you made the right choice. The people on Kepler Prime will understand that we tried our best." Asterisk. Sarah nodded from her station. "Besides, that emergency transmission got through. Earth Defense Command has all the details about this attack. They won't let this slide." The Krillian boarding craft attached to the New Dawn like metallic parasites. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as armed soldiers stormed aboard. Alina and her crew were forced to stand with their hands raised as the aliens took control of their ship. War Leader Zethrak came aboard personally to inspect his prizes. He was massive, even by Krillian standards, with dark scales covering his body and cruel yellow eyes that seemed to enjoy their fear. Razor-sharp teeth filled his mouth, and his claws looked capable of tearing a human apart with ease. "So these are the mighty humans I have heard whispers about," he said mockingly. "You look even more pathetic than our intelligence reports suggested. No wonder your species hides behind words and treaties instead of fighting like true warriors." Alina met his gaze without flinching. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Humanity protects its own, and we especially protect innocent people who need our help." Zethrak laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Your species will do nothing. You are weak and soft. This cargo will enrich the Empire, and your people will forget you ever existed within a few cycles." But Alina saw Sarah give her a subtle nod. The transmission had gotten through successfully. Earth knew exactly what had happened here, who was responsible, and where to find them. Alina knew her people well enough to be certain they wouldn't let this attack go unanswered. The Krillians had just picked a fight they didn't understand. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or technology. It was in their absolute refusal to abandon anyone who needed their protection. As the aliens herded them toward the prison cells, Alina smiled grimly. The war leader thought he had won an easy victory against a helpless cargo ship. But he had. actually just declared war on the most stubborn, determined, and vengeful species in the galaxy. The people of Kepler Prime might have to wait a little longer for their supplies, but Alina was confident they would eventually receive them, along with the satisfaction of knowing that the Krillian Empire had paid dearly for this act of aggression against innocent civilians. Asterisk. Humanity's answered the emergency klaxons echoed through the corridors of Earth defense. Command headquarters as Admiral Victoria Hayes strode into the Central Command Center. Her steel-grey hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her uniform bore the scars and decorations of 30 years protecting human interests across the galaxy. The Admiral's piercing blue eyes immediately focused on the massive holographic display showing the sector where the new dawn had disappeared. "Admiral, we've confirmed the transmission from Captain Rodriguez," reported Commander Jack Sullivan. Hayes, Chief of Staff. His weathered face showed the strain of coordinating multiple fleet movements simultaneously. The Krillian Third Fleet attacked and captured a humanitarian cargo vessel 12 hours ago. Hayes studied the tactical display with grim determination. "Show me everything we know about their current position and fleet composition." The hologram shifted to display detailed intelligence about the Krillian ships. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Park, the fleet intelligence officer, stepped forward with her analysis. 6 heavy cruisers under war leader Zethrak, she began. "They're currently holding position in the Vega Nebula, probably stripping the New Dawn of its cargo and deciding what to do with the prisoners." Hayes clenched her jaw. The Vega Nebula was in disputed space, technically outside any government's territory. The Krillians had chosen their ambush location carefully, thinking it would prevent any organized response to their piracy. "What's the status of our nearest combat units?" Hayes asked. Commander Sullivan activated another display showing human fleet positions across the sector. The heavy cruiser Retribution is 8 hours away under maximum burn. The destroyer squadron, led by the Vigilant, can reach the area in 10 hours. The battleship Indomitable could be there in 14 hours with her full escort group. Hayes shook her head. "Too slow. By the time we arrive in force, they'll have moved the prisoners and scattered to different hiding places throughout their territory." Lieutenant Commander Park cleared her throat. "Admiral, there is another option. The stealth frigate Phantom is conducting reconnaissance only 4 hours from their position. Captain Morrison has been tracking Krillian movements in that sector for weeks." Hayes considered this information. The Phantom was one of humanity's newest vessels, designed for deep reconnaissance and special operations. Her crew was small but exceptionally skilled, and her advanced stealth systems could get them close to the enemy without being detected. "Get me Captain Morrison on a secure channel," Hayes ordered. The communication screen activated to show Captain David Morrison on the bridge of his ship. The young officer had earned his command through exceptional performance in previous conflicts with hostile alien species. His dark eyes showed the intensity that had made him one of the fleet's most effective special operations commanders. "Captain Morrison, you've been monitoring the situation with the New Dawn?" Hayes asked. "Yes, Admiral. My crew is ready to attempt a rescue mission if you give the order. We can be in position within 3 hours." Hayes studied the tactical situation. A single frigate against 6 heavy cruisers was impossible odds in a direct confrontation. But the Phantom wasn't designed for direct confrontation. She was built to slip past enemy defenses and accomplish missions that larger ships couldn't attempt. "Captain, I'm authorizing Operation Homecoming. You are to infiltrate the Krillian position, locate and rescue the New Dawn crew, and extract them safely." Secondary objective is to recover any intelligence about Krillian fleet movements and capabilities. Morrison nodded grimly. Understood. Admiral will bring them home. The connection ended, and Hayes turned back to her staff. I want every available combat unit moving toward Krillian space immediately. When the Phantom extracts our people, I want the entire Third Fleet to face the consequences of their actions. Commander Sullivan began issuing orders to fleet commanders across the sector. Within minutes, human warships were changing course and accelerating toward the confrontation that would determine whether humanity could protect its people in the dangerous regions of space. Meanwhile, the Phantom moved silently through the cosmic dust clouds surrounding the Vega Nebula. Her advanced stealth systems made her nearly invisible to standard sensors, allowing Captain Morrison to approach the Krillian fleet undetected. On the ship's bridge, his small crew worked with quiet efficiency to prepare for one of the most dangerous rescue missions in recent history. Lieutenant Sarah Chen monitored the enemy fleet from her sensor station. 6 cruisers in defensive formation around what looks like a captured human vessel, she reported. The New Dawn is being held. At the center of their formation, probably with skeleton crews aboard the other ships. Morrison studied the tactical display. The Krillians were confident in their superiority over human technology. They hadn't even bothered to post scouts or establish proper patrol patterns. Their arrogance would be their weakness. Chief Petty Officer Miguel Santos prepared the ships. Boarding equipment. His special operations team was small but expertly trained in ship-to-ship combat and hostage rescue. Each member had volunteered for the dangerous mission of infiltrating enemy vessels to save captured humans. Lieutenant Alex Kumar worked at the communication station, trying to establish contact with any surviving crew members aboard the New Dawn. If any of Captain Rodriguez's people were still free and had access to their ship systems, they might be able to assist in the rescue attempt. Morrison activated the ship's intercom. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to attempt the rescue of fellow humans captured by hostile aliens. These people were attacked while carrying medical supplies to save lives on human colonies. We will not abandon them to slavery or death at alien hands. The Phantom drifted closer to the Krillian formation, her hull absorbing and deflecting sensor sweeps that would have easily detected conventional ships. Morrison felt the familiar tension that came before dangerous operations. Everything depended on surprise, speed, and the superior training of his crew. Lieutenant Chen suddenly looked up from her sensors. Captain, I'm detecting a faint signal. From the New Dawn. Someone aboard is trying to communicate using emergency frequencies. Morrison moved to the communication station. Can you clean up the signal? Kumar's fingers flew over his controls. Working on it, sir. The transmission is heavily encrypted using standard Earth defense protocols. The static cleared, and Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the speakers. This is Captain Rodriguez to any human vessels in the area. My crew and I are being held prisoner aboard the Krillian flagship. They've taken our cargo and are planning to sell us as slaves. We're ready to assist in any rescue attempt. Morrison activated the transmission system. Captain Rodriguez, this is Captain Morrison of the stealth frigate Phantom. We're here to bring you home. Stand by for rescue operations. The relief in Rodriguez's voice was obvious. Understood, Captain Morrison. My engineer Marcus Chen has sabotaged several of their systems. When you make your move, we'll be ready to help from the inside. Asterisk. Morrison turned to his tactical officer. Chief Santos, prepare your boarding team. We're going in hard and fast. Lieutenant Chen, target their communication arrays first. I want them unable to call for reinforcements." The Phantom accelerated toward the Krillian flagship, her weapons charging for the surprise attack that would announce humanity's response to the capture of innocent civilians. Morrison knew that success or failure in the next few minutes would determine whether his people lived or died as alien slaves. The first human torpedoes struck the Krillian flagship before their sensors even detected the approaching frigate. Explosions ripped through the enemy ship's communication systems and defensive weapons. Alarms began blaring throughout the enemy fleet as they realized they were under attack. War leader Zethrak roared with rage as he felt his ship shudder under the unexpected assault. How is this possible? Human ships do not possess stealth technology advanced enough to approach undetected. His tactical officer worked frantically at damaged control systems. The attack came from a small frigate, War Leader, but their weapons are far more powerful than intelligence reports suggested. Morrison brought the Phantom alongside the Krillian flagship and extended the boarding tube. Chief Santos and his team moved quickly through the connection, their advanced combat armor and weapons making them look like armored ghosts in the dim corridors of the enemy ship. The Krillian guards were trained warriors, but they had never faced humans in close combat before. Santos and his team moved with deadly precision, their superior training and equipment giving them every advantage in the confined spaces of the ship's interior. Captain Rodriguez and her crew fought their way out of the detention area using weapons taken from surprised guards. Dr. Wright treated wounded team members while Marcus Chen worked to sabotage more of the ship's critical systems. Sarah Kim used her knowledge of alien languages to confuse enemy communications. The rescue operation took less than 20 minutes. By the time the other Krillian ships could respond to their leaders' calls for help, the human prisoners were safely aboard the Phantom and the stealth frigate was accelerating away from the enemy fleet. But Captain Morrison wasn't finished. Admiral Hayes had ordered him to send a message about the consequences of attacking innocent humans. The Phantom's advanced weapons systems targeted the Krillian ships with deadly accuracy. The first enemy cruiser exploded when human torpedoes penetrated her reactor shielding. The second ship lost power and life support when precisely targeted energy beams destroyed her main systems. The third cruiser tried to flee but found herself trapped by the Phantom's superior speed and maneuverability. War leader Zethrak watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically destroyed by a single human vessel smaller than any of his ships. This was impossible. Human technology was supposed to be inferior to Krillian military might. The communication system crackled to life, and Admiral Hayes' voice filled the Krillian flagship's command center. War leader Zethrak, this is Admiral Victoria Hayes of Earth Defense Command. You attacked a humanitarian vessel carrying medical supplies to save innocent lives. That was your first mistake. Zethrak tried to respond, but his communication systems had been damaged in the initial attack. He could only listen as the human admiral continued her message. Your second mistake was thinking humanity would abandon our people to alien slavery. We protect our own, and we especially protect those who risk their lives to help others. Consider this a lesson about the consequences of underestimating human determination. The Phantom's weapons locked onto the flagship's engines and life support systems. Morrison's voice joined the transmission. War leader, your remaining ships have exactly 10 minutes to evacuate this vessel before we destroy it completely. Use that time to think about whether attacking human civilians was worth losing your entire fleet. The surviving Krillian ships scrambled to rescue their comrades from the crippled flagship. They had learned a hard lesson about humanity's true capabilities and their willingness to use them when protecting innocent people. As the Phantom departed with the rescued crew of the New Dawn, Admiral Hayes' fleet arrived in the sector. Dozens of human warships took up positions throughout the region, making it clear that this area of space was now under Earth Defense Command protection. Captain Rodriguez stood on the Phantom's bridge, watching the Krillian ships flee toward their own territory. The medical supplies meant for Kepler Prime had been recovered, and her crew was safe. But more importantly, the galaxy had learned that humanity would never abandon their people to alien aggression. The New Dawn would reach Kepler Prime with her cargo intact. The colonists would receive the medicine and supplies they desperately needed, and every species in the galaxy would know that attacking human civilians came with a price higher than anyone wanted to pay. War leader Zethrak limped back to Krillian space aboard a damaged evacuation ship, his fleet destroyed and his reputation in ruins. He had learned the hard way that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their absolute refusal to leave anyone behind who needed their protection. Asterisk.